Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jess, for those of you who are new here. I do a lot of fashion, lifestyle, and beauty videos. Today's going to be a fashion video, and just to give you a little bit of a background about the kinds of fashion videos I do like hauls, I do lookbooks, and I have a whole series called Wardrobe Essentials. So that is really like my main passion, is helping you find and navigate all these different brands that make very similar things, but what are the ones that are the best in my mind, so I can help you actually invest properly in your closet and your wardrobe. And part of the wardrobe that is the most important to me is, of course, jewelry. So I always get asked about where to buy, what to buy, and today's video is going to be focused on bracelets. So I took a long time to build this collection because my wrists are really small. So I typically buy bracelets that are about like a 6-inch to 6.5-inch length. And most bracelets that you find in stores or even like vintage jewelry, a lot of them are 7-inch and up, which are kind of the ones on my right wrist, and they're quite a bit bigger. So we're going to run through those, and I'm going to show you the textures and types of bracelets that I have and why I bought them, what to look for, price points, where to buy them. So we're gonna start off with the bracelets on my left hand, on my left wrist. Up until I think a month ago, I was just wearing all my bracelets on my left wrist, but I did get some bracelets that were a little bit bigger, and I was a tennis player when I was younger, so I'm right hand dominated, so my right wrist is just bigger a little bit, so I just found that they were better on this wrist. And in terms of styling, I like to have an unbalanced wrist party, so more on one wrist versus the other. I find that if they are too matchy, it doesn't look as cool. So on my left wrist, you can see that I have 4 bracelets. I will go through the brands and then the texture of each one. So this one is from Chicco. This one is from Kate Danielle. This one is also from Kate Danielle, and then this one is from Jessica Jewelry. So 3 out of the 4 are actually Toronto-based jewelers. So one thing I would really recommend with jewelry, whether it be bracelets, necklaces, rings, earrings, is to invest in solid gold. I know that it's not in everyone's budget, but if you think about buying a $50 bracelet once every year, you can save up to buy a solid gold bracelet in 3 to 4 years, because some bracelets you can buy them for around $200 and they are solid gold, and that will last you forever. Plus you can even give it as an heirloom. So just something to think about, because especially with bracelets, you're exposing it to water a lot. Even if you don't wear it every day, just throughout the day of washing your hands, are you really going to take them off and wash your hands and then put them back on? You'll still somehow get exposed to water. Soap, lotions, makeup, all that stuff can interfere with how your jewelry ages. And so that's why I'm a big believer in investing in solid gold jewelry where you can. It took me a long time to build my collection. I didn't just build this collection in 2 months. I've been collecting jewelry for over a decade. So that's just my little bit of advice. Wait and invest in your jewelry versus biting the bullet and just getting a piece because it's super trendy. So back to this guy. I bought a bunch of things from Chicco before because I was obsessed with super dainty jewelry for a while, and Chicco makes some of the best dainty jewelry. This is 14K, and I just really liked this oval link that she has. It has a really small clasp as well, and that's something I look for in bracelets, because there's nothing worse than having a really nice cable and then the clasp ruining it. So I chose to get this one from Chicco because I don't see a lot of chains like this, vintage chains. It's very hard to find an oval one like this. I like to mix more contemporary pieces with classic pieces and vintage pieces. You can buy charms and actually have them clasp on this chain, which is something I really like. So eventually I will probably get little charms and have this become a charm bracelet. But again, because I look for solid gold pieces and charms, it's gonna take me a while, but I think it's worth it. So this one in the middle is called a Miami chain. It is from Jessica Jewelry. It's 10K gold. So a way to get around paying more for solid gold jewelry is to go down carat. And as you can see, like the 10K next to the 14K isn't a big difference, and it's significantly cheaper. So this is 4.5 millimeters wide, and I just wanted to get something a little bit thicker because you can see compared to the other three, the shine is different. So that's something that I look for when building my bracelet stacks. Every piece should have a different texture or different width so that it doesn't look too similar. I really like the Miami chain just because it's a little bit flatter and wider than the oval chain, so it takes up a little bit more wrist real estate, and next to all the other ones, like you can clearly see that it is different. And the next up is this guy, which is a small curb chain. Super, super classic. This one's from Kate Danielle. She doesn't sell them anymore, but this is a pretty classic chain that I'm sure you can find at a lot of places. This one is 14K, I believe. Let me just double check. So usually with solid gold jewelry, it will have like an engraving on it that will tell you. So this one says Italy 417, which I have to double check. I feel like it actually might be 10K. So it is a super classic type of chain. I feel like Majuri makes one like this and it's around $200. So if you're gonna start your solid gold like bracelet stack, I'd say start off with something like this. Just make sure it fits your wrist nicely so it's comfortable. And like honestly, if I was just wearing this, even with all my bracelets, like I forget that they're there because they fit my wrist properly and they're not dangling and catching onto things. And then last but not least is this pearl bracelet. I believe they're called Baroque pearls. This one is also from Kate Danielle. It has some jump rings at the end so you can really play with how big it is. Obviously I'm wearing it at the smallest class because I have small wrists. If you guys remember, I had a bigger version of this which looked like this. I still wear this guy, but because it is a bigger pearl bracelet, I like don't wear it all the time. I have swapped it out to this one just because it's a little bit more low profile and I feel like a little cuter for spring, summer. Like this bigger one I like to wear during the winter. It just stands out a little bit more like with knits and everything. This is my left hand wrist party. As you can see, all different textures. I think this summer I might add some fun like beaded ones or like just the plain camp bracelets, but those ones aren't going to stay on my wrist like the whole time. It's just like something fun to accessorize with. Then this is my right wrist. This guy is a herringbone chain. It is 7 inches. It's 14K. And with these guys, it's super, super hard to find like smaller ones because you can't really get it customized. Like you can't cut the herringbone and then reattach it because of the intricacy of the like actual chain. You can see that's like tiny, tiny little pieces, and that's why it's called a herringbone. It makes a herringbone shape, texture, whatever you want to call it. So this guy I put on my right wrist now because it is like quite a bit bigger. You can see how much room I have, but I really love it because it has such a beautiful sheen to it. It's like a little snake. And then this guy is a vintage bracelet. I don't even know what kind of chain it's called. It looks like there's like little S's all over it, and this is 10K. So you can see the difference here better. It's like 14K is more yellow. This is a little bit more rosy, and this is just like a rose gold bracelet. This is from Hortense Jewelry. The vintage bracelet is from Hidden Attic. I like to follow her on Instagram because she always does these like amazing IG story sales where you can get like solid gold vintage jewelry for really good prices. So if you are looking for like good gold deals, definitely follow a couple like vintage antique jewelry people because it is like a big trend for them to like do flash sales of their inventory on Instagram, and it's usually like a lot cheaper than like how much you would find it on their site or on other people's sites. So tidbit for you, I'm like literally always shopping on Instagram, and that's how I get a lot of my jewelry. But back to my wrist, Hortense Jewelry is actually one of the first fine jewelry brands that I discovered. I think I got this bracelet, I don't know, like over 5 years ago. It's just like a little string bracelet, like on a, I think it's a silk string, but any string, I don't know. But these are solid gold beads, so they don't actually tarnish. Because I have such a small wrist, it's easy to use this because I can just tighten it to fit my wrist. And as you can see, they're all different textures on my right wrist, and there's only 3 of them here. So you can see that my right wrist is a little bit more delicate than my left wrist. It's also because I tend to wear more rings on my right hand, so you just have to like balance it out when you're styling your hands. And then last but not least, I wanted to talk to you guys about like the additional like bracelets that I add to my wrist stack when I want some extra pizzazz. And obviously they're from Jenny Bird. These are two of my favorites. I don't know the names of them off by heart, but I will of course link them. I always go for bangles that have an opening because I have to shrink them to get them to fit my wrist. So yeah, I like to add the extra bangles on my right wrist because obviously they are a little bit heavier too. And I just feel a little bit easier with like moving with heavier items on my right wrist because I am right dominated. So these are like my most worn bracelets. I am gonna get some more colorful pieces this summer and maybe I'll do an updated video. But essentially the key messages to take away from this video on how to build your like forever / everyday bracelet party is start off small. You can start off with like a simple little chain like this curved chain I have, and usually the price point of course is going to be lower. You can start with 10K and like something classic like this. And then when you realize you do like to wear bracelets and you want to add more, you can start saving up for the next level, get something thicker next, or get something with beads or like some gemstone bracelets, whatever your heart desires. But I would definitely always recommend starting off with classic smaller pieces. And then number two, when you do start adding different pieces, make sure you're mixing up the textures of the actual kinds of chains and the widths of the chains and even the materials of the chains. So you don't have to stick with 10K. You can even go, there are pieces that are solid gold that are 9K. It just looks a little bit rosier, and you can go up to 14K, 18K, that's even yellower. So when you're building your bracelet stack, just make sure you're not getting pieces that are too similar because that it just won't make your bracelet stack as interesting. Lastly, have fun with your jewelry. I know sometimes it's hard, especially when I talk about vintage jewelry, to find like the piece that I'm talking about, but you can always send like a picture of like my stuff to a vintage jeweler or like a vintage and antique curator and say like, hey, I'm looking for something like this, and they can keep an eye out for you. With vintage jewelry, it's not like contemporary jewelry where you can just go online and find the exact piece you want. Sometimes it can take months, if not years. I've been waiting for a couple pieces that I have had my eye on for like over a year now because like I just haven't been able to find anyone that can source it for me. It's worth the wait. Like if you know what you want, especially if you're going to invest in this jewelry for the rest of your life and like hopefully pass it on to the rest of your family, then I think it's worth it. So that's a wrap. These are my bracelets that I wear most often. Hopefully you found that helpful, and hopefully that helps guide you into the realm of starting your own forever jewelry collection. If you have any questions, leave them down below. Like my video, subscribe to my channel. I can never tell which side the subscribe button is, maybe here or here. Follow me on Instagram, and I will see you so soon.